Master Yoda I am. And listen you must to Whoobazoo.com.
We went out in the street today. We found people who said they were fans of Donald Trump. We asked them how they felt about some stuff that Trump has done, except none of it was stuff Trump has done. All of the events we described were about Richard Nixon in this Watergate edition of Lie Witness News.
You heard the news that Trump was accused of breaking into the DNC's office and stealing sensitive documents. Do you think that should be an impeachable offense?
No.
Why not?
I like Trump. I don't listen to the news, so...
During the campaign, Trump sent a team to break into the DNC's headquarters and steal sensitive documents. Is that an impeachable offense?
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that it's an impeachable offense?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't.
Stealing documents from the DNC. It's okay?
Yep.
Do you think the president should have to turn over all the conversations he's been secretly recording in the Oval Office?
No, because he has a legitimate excuse. He's got diplomatic immunity for those things.
Woodburn and Bernstein from the Washington Post wrote an article that's pretty damning to the president and all his men. Is that just the Washington Post being haters again?
Well, I mean, it could be, because from my experience, the newspaper does lie and fabricate things, and it's a lot of fake news nowadays, so it's hard to, believe everything that comes out of the newspapers.
Do you think Trump will ever find out the name of the whistleblower known as Deep Throat?
Yeah, it'll come out. It'll come out later, probably years from now.
And why do you think that people are calling the whistleblower by the name Deep Throat?
Well, I have an opinion about it. But I don't want to speculate.
Deep Throat, is that the name?
Of the whistleblower, yeah. I mean, it's like the code name, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's something to do sexual. I don't know. Like Deep Throat, that sounds sexual to me.
Do you think his nickname, Tricky Don Trump, is justified?
Tricky Don Trump. Well, he's a businessman. That would probably be a pretty good name for a very good businessman.
What do you think of Trump's bold choice to throw a double peace sign after speaking to the press corps?
He likes to express himself. He's unique, so...
Gangster?
Yeah, he's a gangster. Kept it 100.
Do you think everything that's going on right now with all the impeachment stuff is just to distract from the fighting that's still going on in Vietnam?
Yes, I do.
And do you think that Trump's war in Vietnam is justified?
Yeah.
How come?
I just think it is. I mean, like I said, I like the guy. No one's going to convince me otherwise.
Do you think if Trump resigns, he'll be pardoned by Vice President Gerald Ford?
I don't know what Gerald Ford's going to do, because, if there's evidence, against him, that's probably going to be bad.
Do you think there's any precedent for everything that's going on?
Gosh, I mean, probably not. It's sad that it's going to probably be in the history books for the kids to read about in years to come.
So it's like nothing we've seen before.
I definitely would agree with that.
We're all in trouble. It's a rich hunt.
The booth. I share my world within the booth. The booth. This is all I do within the booth. The booth. A set of headphones, one microphone, and yo, hold the phone. I'm in the booth. The booth. I share my world within the booth. The booth. This is all I do within the booth. The booth. I got one microphone, flow glitz in the zone. Yeah, I'm in the load me up, lock me in. I don't care, box me in, cause the booth got me in this brand new zone. Plug me in, turn it up, blitz gon' burn it up. Might start melting down the soundproof phone. It's one way, so it's one mode. Booth on the bus whenever I'm on the road. Lock in for days and anything goes. It's been 7 days, the same clothes. Still flowing for them dudes sitting outside on the blocks in the booth, but I'm spitting outside of the box. I know where the digits at, where the lyrics at. I ain't never losing, so I ain't gotta get it back. Got commercial music, but I still know how to spit a rap. I'm like the trees on my boots, I grew from the roots. If I'm lying, I'm flying, but I'm the truth. Only one way, my mobile or roam. I'm underground in the booth. The booth. I share my world when in the booth. The booth. This is all I do when in the booth. The booth. I got a set of headphones and one microphone. And yo, hold the phone, I'm in the booth. The booth. I share my world when in the booth. The booth. This is all I do when in the booth. The booth. I got one microphone. Yeah, I'm in the zone. Joe Spencer's in the booth.
Was he African?
African.
No. He was American, and he was like you. He looked just like you.
He's Jewish.
Just like you.
Okay, Jew.
Hey.
It's an odd crime for a Jew to commit.
I'm pretty docile.
In the chat, listening. So we got some to get right into tonight. We got a guest that's going to be calling in a little while, about 6:30. But our topics for tonight, local and national booth, we're going to get this. And the reason why I want, because my feeling is I want to know how the state, it's really going to affect the state. I don't know how rate down there in Florida.
Smoking state. It's people smoke here and smoke to a big extent, and the state makes plenty of money off it. Yeah, so we watched one because these stores, these mom and pop stores that depend on cigarette sales, it is crazy. It's going to hurt them, and we're going to see a lot of places going out of business. If it was at Hutchinson for 5 years, a couple of years as a staff person, a couple of years as a manager through college, and chemicals, and we had to learn how to mix them right, and we had to learn how to use them right. And
as an employee, and then the manager has to submit that to the employee file, and they also have to submit that to the government. There's a place where that all goes to let people know that they've been trained, and they're supposed to be, like for me at Logan, I have to send all my stuff to Massport. Massport owns the property. I have to send them a report. So we'll get into that one. That's a great topic for us. We're going to get into it.
For next
yeah, we got those two we're going to table. In national news, scientists claim they have found a force of nature, say that 3 times fast, that connects the visible world to dark matter. They're calling it the X-17. It wasn't matter, but it's a piece of energy. And, it's one of these things where, Ken, you with us?
I'm right here.
Nice. Okay. Everything okay?
Everything is great. I apologize. I had to take care of, so I hopped on the air. And yeah, that's an interesting story. The dark matter is really, believe it or not, scientists believe that 10% of the universe is what we call light matter, stuff we can see, and 90% is dark matter. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, and people need, if you want to just Google it, I really can't get into it. There's a lot of techno stuff that would just bore people, but it's a very impressive thing. It opens a lot of doors for things. So you want to Google dark matter, fifth force of nature. There's a lot of things that are written about it. It's very interesting. I just wanted to mention that. Ken, before you came on, we are tabling 2 discussions that we opened up with. The vaping flavored tobacco ban here in Massachusetts and how losing those taxes are going to impact. So we're tabling that one. His career at McDonald's. This is a guy that has put a lot of smiles on a lot of people's faces.
I mean, but come on, when you were growing up, didn't you have friends that always give you, like, if you ordered a medium fry, they give you a large fry on the government's dime or the company's dime? That kind of thing happens, used to back in my day.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and it's a great story, so we just wanted to give him a quick mention. Heading into the sports booth, Pat's rookie Chase Winovich surprises his mother with a new car in a touching Instagram video. It was great stuff to see it. RSquared's a big fan of him. When we were talking about him getting drafted, RSquared really liked this kid. He was actually hoping that the Giants were able to pick him up, but the Pats ended up getting him. The quarterback Mason Rudolph was his involvement in the Browns-Steelers battle we saw about a week ago. We talked about where Myles Garrett was suspended. His suspension was upheld. I kind of lost a lot of respect for Myles Garrett because now I'm pretty sure the union told him to do this, but the union pretty sure told him to say that Mason Rudolph called him a racial slur, which is like the...
He did into money, so I understand that might have gotten him upset, but you still have to handle it properly, and, we'll see what happens.
We got a lot of people sitting in the chat. I got to say what's up to Van Baden. It's going to say what's up to Deana Marie. Got to say what's up to... Everybody's really liking the story about the extra nugget. I think we all kind of love that story. Ken, you want to add to that real quick?
I'm a huge critic of the NFL.
Jeff Driscoll threw 3 interceptions in their loss to Redskins.
I don't know, but you can't just put that all on the coach. They've got some problems down there, and I think Jerry Jones is one of those problems.
Ken? Oh, he's muted. He's muted again, so he must have something going on. So he'll
it's not
left. Your big Thanksgiving games are coming up. You got 3 games on Thursday. They can. Detroit's having some issues, but I think at home on Thanksgiving, I'm really diced up on Thanksgiving Day. I'm taking Detroit with the home win only because they're at
Buffalo. Buffalo is one of those most underrated teams in the NFL right now. They had their great game against the Patriots. They've been putting up decent numbers on offense, defense, and special teams. Dallas.
They go down to Buffalo. I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Garrett is fired on Monday morning if they lose this game against Buffalo. New Orleans heading into Atlanta. No chance. Washington heading into Carolina. Carolina's got some issues. Washington's off a win, but I got to give it to Carolina at home, guys. Ken?
Yeah. I'm sorry. The Deadskins are not going to come into Carolina and beat up on that team. Go Carolina.
Yeah, they got this weekend. RSquared?
Yeah, Carolina.
Win right now.
You mean the Jets?
Yeah, the Jets. Oh, yeah, so we don't want to. The Jets. RSquared?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Jets in this win. I didn't hear the story about Darnold, although he had some pretty good numbers this past week. Cincinnati's probably going to get a win at some point this season, and this could very well be it, especially at home. But, until I see some production out of them, I'm going to pick against them. So I'm going to go Jets.
Ken?
Yeah, I think the Jets are a slightly better team than the record suggests. I think they're more of a 500 team, not a 4-7 team. Cincinnati is exactly what their record suggests. They suck canal water. Jets.
All right. Tennessee heading into Indianapolis. Indianapolis, just like the Pats, heading into Baltimore. This is a big game. I'm surprised that this game is at 1 o'clock. It can still be flexed, people. It's 1 o'clock right now, but I think they have up until Thursday to flex this game to a primetime game. The Sunday night scheduled 8 o'clock game right now. Hold on, let me just scroll up.
It's the Patriots-Houston.
Patriots-Houston. Maybe the 4 o'clock game, which is the Chargers against Denver. They may flex it to that 4 o'clock spot. Oakland and Kansas City is a 4 o'clock game. Rams and Arizona is a 4 o'clock game. So they may flex this game right now. We'll see to get the bigger rating. San Fran going into Baltimore. This is a tough one for me, guys. I don't know. Both teams playing solid ball. Lamar Jackson, I would have to say right now, is the better quarterback. I'm taking Baltimore at home.
I think they've looked a little bit Philadelphia on the road just because Miami's been weak. But this, I just don't know.
Yeah, I think the Giants are going to have one good quarter, and they're going to get slaughtered on the other 3. Yeah, Green Bay.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but I'm going with Green Bay because they're coming off a pretty embarrassing loss at home. They got smoked at home. So I'm going with Green Bay bouncing back. We got Cleveland going into Pittsburgh. Guys, this is the rematch of the big game, the big fight. I'm pretty sure the refs are going to say what they need to say. Can Cleveland go into Pittsburgh and take home this win? I don't think so. I give this game to Pittsburgh at home. They're looking for revenge. As Ken says, this is the Blood Bowl every time these guys play. Ken?
Absolutely. This is the Blood Bowl. This is one of the games I really look forward to every year. That and the Giants and Dallas game, and I will not mention the Giants disappointed me, and I'm not happy, but we'll leave that for another day. I'm picking Cleveland. I think this is going to be an upset. I think Cleveland is full of piss and vinegar. Pittsburgh's beat up. They got front office problems. They got coaching issues. I think Cleveland's out there to make a statement. I think they're trying to redeem themselves for the crap that happened last time.
Sweet.
Well, Cleveland is the favorite, so the upset would be the Steelers, and I'm going to pick the Steelers in an upset at home because I think, obviously Cleveland took it to them last time, and I just think the Steelers are the team that's going to be out for blood this time. I got to go Pittsburgh at home. It's in an upset.
All right, we got the Rams heading into Arizona. Rams got to bounce back. They're in that hunt. They got to keep it going. I'm taking the Rams in Arizona with the win. RSquared.
This is my upset pick of the week. I'm going Arizona at home. I think there's something really wrong with the Rams. They're sucking on both sides of the ball right now. Todd Gurley can't run if he was on an open field. So I got to go Arizona.
Ken?
This is an upset pick.
A tough game. I'm taking Denver at home against those. Well, no, you know what? I'm taking the Chargers because that defense is better. I like Denver at home, but that Chargers defense is a tough defense. So I'm going with Chargers. RSquared?
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to take this one on the road. It's tough. This one gave me fits in making this pick, but I think the Chargers are a better team and they'll win on the road.
Ken?
I'm going with Denver only because they're playing at home. Playing in Denver, the city of, not the team, in December is never pleasant for any cold weather team. San Diego is not a cold weather team; they're a warm weather team. I think the environment is really going to play havoc with them, and I think Denver, if they can get their head out of the actually may be a competitive team next year. And I think this is a showcase game for next year.
Those are good points.
All right, we got New England going into Houston. Usually a tough game. New England and Houston. I'm taking New England in this game. They know they need to keep their ground ahead of Baltimore, so I'm taking New England at home. RSquared?
Yeah, New England. Not even an issue.
All right, Ken?
Yeah, this is going to be a good game, but, Houston's good. They're just not good enough. And I know they're playing on the road. New England's not a particularly good road team, but after the last 2 sloppy wins, this is a statement game for New England to tell people that for the playoffs that all roads to the Super Bowl go through Foxborough.
All right, we got our next pick, Minnesota and Seattle. I'm taking Seattle at home. RSquared?
Yeah, Seattle.
Ken?
Yeah, I hate Seattle. I hate the Legion of Boom, but I'm not betting against them at home. No,
well, don't
Seattle.
worry. There's no more Legion of Boom. That went away when Richard Sherman left.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're still, the descendants of Legion of Boom, or the redheaded stepchildren of the Legion of Boom.
We got, I'm going to take Seattle, as I said. My pick did not, why is my picks not sticking? There we go. So I took Seattle. Those are our picks for the week. Squid, did you give your pick?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And that's going to be it. That's our picks for the week. Make sure you check us out. I actually didn't post them for this week, so I got to get our picks up and get them in. Our guest actually was just trying to call in, so let me get them back on the line. But while we're in here, I got to talk about our next topic in the entertainment booth real quick. We have in the entertainment booth Frozen 2 took home top honors last week, and the trailer for Call the Wild was featuring Harrison Ford and a CGI dog. Kind of brewing up some debate. Have you guys been able to see the trailer yet?
Yeah, I saw it, and I'm sorry. Have you all read The Call of the Wild, the book?
Yes, one of my most favorite books.
Okay.
By Jack London.
I'm sorry.
Great book.
I know. I don't think you use a CGI dog in a Jack London novel. Sorry. Because the imagery is so powerful, it jumps off the page. You got to use a live dog, but,
Well, I think let me get RSquared's thought on this.
I didn't see any of the previews or anything for it, so I don't really have anything to contribute on it.
Well, you're familiar with the book, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
it was a good book, but
yeah, great book. I'm thinking Harrison Ford is going to get the nods for Academy Award in this, but the dog is completely CGI. I don't like it. I'm going to see this happen more because there's no trainers involved. You are going to see people who are going to not have to worry about how an animal is treated on a film. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
No, I understand. But
I get it from that standpoint, from practicalities, but
it's tough to get it's tough to get a dog to perform too.
Yeah,
no,
that's why I understand.
You treat a dog right, you train it right.
Depending on what you want the dog to do, but
right.
It certainly can raise problems. But still, you want to be true to the movie, true to the story. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, before we finish up our entertainment, I believe we have our guest on with us, Deana.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hello, and it's funny because when we talk to your people, they said, "Yo, she loves coming on your show. You guys are the fun guys out of Boston."
Yeah, you are the fun guys on the block.
And so, real quick, we've got Deana Martin on as our guest, special guest for tonight. And the reason why she's on tonight, she's got a couple of things going on. I just actually saw you was on the red carpet for some event, the 44th NICF or something. What was it?
Yes, the National Italian American Club and Foundation. Doing some, I did a show for them. So it was pretty cool. A lot of fun. A lot of great Italians there.
I could expect. One of the things why we have you on here is because we were talking about we've got the Brockton Parade coming up too. Is the song that your father performed, who is Dean Martin, for those who don't know who Deana Martin is, did a song called Baby It's Cold Outside. And there was this whole thing about the hashtag Me Too and all these things about being PC. And there was a lyric that was questioned, and for almost a year, this whole debate went on about the song. And just recently, and I think it was done to help promote the show The Voice, but John Legend and Kelly Clarkson actually changed these lyrics to the song to PC it up and changed the lyric to My Body, My Right. I'm just going to let you explain this and your feelings, Deana.
Well, first of all, I was absolutely astonished. I thought, what a ridiculous thing to do. But now, you know what? I think that's probably right, what you're saying, to promote the show and the Christmas album. But now I have been singing that song, Baby It's Cold. I really can't stay. I've got to go away. I've been performing it for all of my Christmas songs, all of my Christmas shows forever. And last year, when this whole thing happened, and a few of the radio stations kind of banned the record, I was just shocked and appalled, and I thought how ridiculous this is. And I think I put out a press release saying, I think this is insane. What do you think? And all of a sudden I was barraged with millions of Facebook and tweets and all these things, people saying, thank you, Deana. Thank you very much for standing up for that fabulous song that was written by Frank Loesser in 1944, and it won the Academy Award in 1949. And my dad, of course, put it on his Winter Romance album, and it's a classic, cute, flirtatious, wonderful little song that everybody loves. And so, of course, they immediately put the song back on the air on these three radio stations that it stopped it, and it went right to the top of the charts again after 50 years.
I remember when this whole thing went down. I remember the streaming numbers were through the roof, and it was like one of the most purchased holiday songs last year on like iTunes and Spotify.
Right.
So it ended up.
That's right.
It's a situation again when we talk about on this show. We talk about this a lot. Bad press creates good press, and it has.
Yeah, what is it? Just as long as you spell my name right.
Right, exactly. Isn't that the whole Hollywood trope? There's no such thing as bad publicity as long as they spell your name right.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty sad, but so when I heard the lyrics,
it worked.
It works. It's all right. But when I heard the lyrics, from John, and actually this year I put out a press release just thanking people about last year. Thank you for making my dad's Baby It's Cold Outside going up to, the top of the charts again. And then all of a sudden I'm reading all of these things where it says Deana Martin blasts, slams John Legend, and, I'm going, I didn't even know what the lyrics were to his song. Then when I heard it,
okay.
And then I said, oh, see, this ain't right. I think it was just so much more sexual when it's your body, your choice. I said, when this cute, fabulous song was, for all of these years, everybody has been singing it. And as I say, I'm singing it. I've sung it, as I say, all my life. And people love it. And they just, everybody now, of course, they jump up and they're all screaming and hollering, yay, it's fantastic. And I have now received, guys, over 200,000 messages and tweets and emails and everything with people saying, thank you for standing up for your dad. Bravo, this is great. I think it's, so wrong what they did. And I even said, if John Legend is a great performer, a good entertainer, a fabulous voice and everything, and he's a good writer, so why didn't he just write a new song? Don't ruin something that was perfect in the first place. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And like I said, in my opinion, I don't know this. In my opinion, I felt they did it to bring ratings to The Voice. I think, both those guys are judges on The Voice. I think it was done to bring attention to The Voice. At the end of the day, I don't think they did it to just do it. And John Legend, it was also just in time with his Sexiest Man Alive award that he got from People Magazine too. So
I know, I saw that. Wow.
Yeah, you know how it is in Hollywood, how it's all about time.
People are definitely on my side, and they, and I hadn't thought about that, trying to bring ratings to to the TV show. That's a whole other. I thought it was just for his new Christmas album. And,
no, because I think they did perform it. I think they were going to perform that on The Voice. So I'm not sure, but that's my feeling. That's my opinion.
I think it's for the NBC Christmas special that they're performing it.
Yes, The Voice is on that network. Yep, The Voice is on the network. So if that's the case, that means they're going to be advertising the heck out of them performing the song when the time comes when this show airs in the next few weeks. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well,
so
good for them, and that's something. But I will be singing it everywhere with all of my friends. In fact, I'll be doing it. I'm trying to think where it is on February 13th with Joe Piscopo. So we're going to do it together, and that'll be fun.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot Joe Piscopo did leave Saturday Night Live. Me and Ken were big fans. We used to talk about Joe Piscopo. We forgot that Joe Piscopo had an amazing voice, and he performed singing live across the country after he left SNL. I completely forgot about that. I didn't know he still sings.
Oh, yeah, he does. He travels around. He does. He's really good. He does a really fantastic Sinatra. He does himself, but he's a great performer. He's a good guy. He's a good friend. I've known him for years and years. So we're going to sing "Baby It's Cold Outside," and when I find out and realize where, I'll give you a call.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. We'd love to see that video. Before we get ready to let you go, are you on tour anywhere? Are you coming out to the East Coast? I know you were at Foxwoods a few times.
Yes, I have been. I'm trying to think when I am coming to the East Coast, but people can go on my website to DeanaMartin.com, DEANA Martin.com. It'll say where I am. I put on the public dates. I don't put on the private dates. But I'm going to be in Las Vegas December 8th, 2 shows. On the 8th at the Smith Performing Arts Center downtown, and I will be singing this, Baby It's Cold Outside, and all my, fabulous Christmas songs. So it'll be a great show. And February, let's see, I'm going to Australia, doing a whole Australian tour, but I do have a lot of things coming up in New York. I think in Staten Island and in Manhattan and Long Island. So those will be. That's coming up soon, I believe. But I just don't have, and I'm not prepared. I'm a little bit crazy today. I don't have all my stuff.
That's no problem.
We just got back. No. Yeah, we just got back. But I always like talking to you guys. So.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure. And I know we follow each other on Twitter, and I saw you give a shout on the Booth Facebook page, which is awesome. I think you're the second or maybe third celebrity to come on the Booth Facebook page and give us a shot. RSquared can make it up. Maybe we can go check you out in New York. That would actually be a find you and see you. I know you're on Twitter and stuff.
Yes, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and let's see, what else is there? I'm on, a Facebook, of course, but just go to DeanaMartin.com or, hashtag Deana Martin, DeanaMartin, and that would be great. I'd love to hear from everybody.
Sounds good. All right, well, you take care of yourself. If we don't talk to you before the holidays, make sure you have a happy holiday. I'm going to let the guys say goodbye to you before we let you go.
Okay.
RSquared, Ken Diesel.
Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. Deana.
Thank you.
Best of
You
luck
too.
In the future.
All right, you guys. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay, you too.
Right.
Bye-bye. Bye.
That was Deana Martin calling into the show. Great stuff. Good interview. And we're going to move along here because we RSquared is actually heading out of town at 4 in the morning. He's going to be up. Back into the entertainment booth. The booth. We talked about Disney's Mandalorian, which premiered on Disney Plus. In only 3 episodes, The Mandalorian has surpassed Stranger Things for the most streamed show in America. These guys, I think they still haven't seen it yet. I'm on the 3rd episode. This story takes place after Jedi. There's a baby Yoda involved, but it's not actually Yoda. Which is confusing me is that this Yoda character has Force powers too. I didn't think that a whole species could have Force powers. So that's real interesting. I'm going to check that out. Godzilla vs. King Kong has been pushed back to November 20th of 2020. I'm not very happy about that, guys. What about you guys? We all liked the Godzilla movie, and they teased Godzilla vs. King Kong at the end of it, and now it's being pushed back to November of next year. RSquared, you were a fan of the Godzilla film. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a fan, so it'll come out in November. I'll go see it then. It's fine.
Ken?
If they're taking their time to make it right, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping, too. I'm hoping that they make it right. All right, legal booth. The House Committee approved the landmark bill legalizing marijuana at the federal level, but it's not what everybody thinks. But it is a start, and I like it. I'll let Ken real quick just talk about that real quick, why it's a great start.
It's more of a decriminalization than a legalization bill, and the difference between those, I'll make it very quickly. Decriminalization means you're still not allowed to use it, but we're not going to throw you in jail for it. Legalization means that you can go out and use it. And again, I agree with Sister One. I think your point about a step in the right direction, exactly that. We're not going to legalize marijuana overnight. We're just not going to do it on the federal level.
Well, isn't that how it started here in Mass? It was decriminalized first, right?
Well, no, actually, no. What happened was you got medical marijuana first. And I don't like that term because marijuana is not medicine. Then you had the decriminalization, and then you had the legalization. Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything you want to add to that, RSquared?
No, I agree. It's a good first step. I don't think it's powerful as a lot of people thought when it happened, but it is in the right direction, and we'll see what comes of it.
I like it because the reason why is, and they did it here when the first legal shop opened here in Brockton, it was a veteran who was the first in line. And when they had the medicinal marijuana place, it was a veteran again, because very quietly but behind the scenes, if you go into this CBD marijuana world, I see a lot of veterans switching to marijuana to treat their PTSD, to treat their ailments. And veterans are very outspoken. So we want to keep an eye on this. I'm going to keep an eye on this, and we're going to see where this goes with this. Also, another just quick mention, Trooper Clarity case ended in a split decision on those manslaughter OUI charges, 7 years on the manslaughter, and I don't know, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, did they throw the OUI charges out, or what did they do with that? He wasn't charged with any OUI. They kind of, is that dismissed?
Yeah, basically. Basically what they did is they're just not going to retry him on the OUIs.
Okay.
It's not dismissed. It's basically it dies a quiet death. Technically, it's not dismissed. Technically, they can bring it back, but they're not going to. It's as they say, it's disappearing to that good night.
Okay. Getting into our Trump troubles, the Navy wants to eject Chief Petty Officer Edward Gallagher from the SEALs after President Trump reversed the decision. Now, there's been an update to this story because Trump actually backed down. I'm going to let RSquared get into this one because there was some couple of changes over the last couple of days on this one.
Yeah, well, first of all, this is an offshoot of the atrocious pardons he did in the war crimes cases, one of which was Gallagher's, and that is, I think we might have touched base on that already. That's an absolute atrocity. It's an abomination. It's inexcusable on so many levels. But what happened with Gallagher in the most recent thing, there are three developments really. One is that the Navy was going to hold a hearing that he gets to participate in whether or not to remove his trident. And the trident is the pin that you wear if you're in the SEALs. All the special forces committed some kind of misconduct or brought discredit on the service or something like that. There's criteria for it. And was I supposed to stop for a second?
No, you can go.
I saw something in the chat. Sorry. So anyway, so this happens all the time when you have members of these units who find themselves in some form of adversity. They have these hearings where they get their pins removed. And so this is not an uncommon thing, and it's not a formal thing. Well, it is formal, but it's not a full due process adversity thing. It's a quick hearing. You get to present your side of it. So he wasn't being singled out, and this was something that's been done to people for lesser reasons than this. So he absolutely deserved to lose his trident. And his defense, his attorneys, and he got on television and were criticizing the leadership, the Navy leadership, saying this was petty and vindictive and all that. No, it wasn't. What happened was when he was facing a court-martial and facing significant loss of liberty by going to jail and everything else, they weren't going to add this to the mix because it would have been overkill. But once the president got rid of all that, this is all they had left. And so that's why they did it when they did it. It wasn't because they were being spiteful or vindictive. They did it because the president took everything else off the table, and the only thing they can do to make a statement about good order and discipline and standards and the profession of arms was to remove his trident, and now the president dipped down and stopped that, it just shows what his mentality is. So the other thing that happens is, I don't know if anybody saw this today, but the White House, the Trump campaign, I should say, sometimes you can't tell the difference, but the Trump campaign issued a statement that they have invited Gallagher to come on the campaign trail with them and to speak at the Republican convention next year. His nominating convention next summer, all right? So that just tells you what his motivation is all along, that he is playing politics with good order and discipline of the military, that he is trying to make heroes out of these disgusting individuals that violated every standard of military service and deserved what they had coming to them, and is using them as political pawns. And shame on them if they say yes, because they ought to bury themselves in a cave somewhere and try to redeem themselves from what they did. They're a disgrace to the uniforms they wore, all three of them, that the president pardoned. And so I think, the fact that they're invited to the campaign trail to come on to travel with the president to campaign stops and give stump speeches with him, and to come speak at the convention, it's just disgusting. It flies in the face of every person in uniform who has served honorably, and there are millions of people, including the World War II veterans and Korean War veterans and Vietnam War veterans that are still around today, the Desert Storm veterans, and of course, Iraq and Afghanistan. Every veteran who served honorably, especially those who have come back with some kind of, with challenges. This is a slap in the face to everybody who believed in good order and discipline. What people forget sometimes is that when you train in the military, you are not being trained necessarily as a killer. A killer is a criminal. You are trained in the profession of arms. there are standards, there are rules, there are procedures, there are all kinds of things that are paramount to doing that successfully. And one of them is about war crimes. Do you know Gallagher was turned in by his colleagues? You know how difficult a decision that is? But they were trained, and they believed so much in the rule of law that they swore an oath under the Constitution to protect and defend, and they saw him committing war crimes, and they turned him in. The reason he was only convicted of the one thing is they botched the investigation. Shame on the investigators who botched it. And there was another thing, and I think this deserves a mention. Sorry to go on, but this deserves a mention because this was a conspiracy from within. What happened was they gave somebody complete immunity. Ken will understand this. They gave somebody a complete immunity. So then what he did after getting complete immunity was lied in the investigation, and he said he was the one that did the things and not Gallagher. That was an absolute lie, but because he was given immunity, they couldn't prosecute him for those crimes, and this way he was getting Gallagher off. That was an absolute abomination. It was a violation. I wish they could prosecute these people for it, but immunity is immunity, and that's the problem when investigators do stuff like that. Instead of just doing the investigation from start to finish, they try to do it the easy way and give somebody immunity, and then that person wound up being a despicable traitor to the Navy by doing this, by lying. So it was absolutely ridiculous. But this is what they're faced with. Okay, this is what the public has to deal with when you have a draft dodging president who doesn't respect anything about the uniform that people wear, who serve, the millions of people in uniform and everybody who came before. He doesn't have an ounce of respect for that, as we've talked about before. And so when this kind of thing happens, people looking at it, partisan, oh yeah, he's protecting the war fighters. No, he's not. What he just did was incredibly hurtful to the war fighters. He hurt us in a couple of different ways. First of all, because it's incredibly prejudicial to good order and discipline. He now taught people that they shouldn't come forward when that's what they've been trained for generations to do, and he made us unsafe around the world because we were always the good guys. People knew, even when they were fighting against us, that we were the good guys, that we respected the rules, and even places and forces and enemies that didn't always do that did so because they knew that they had to when they were dealing with the United States military. I'll give you one quick story, and then I'll shut up. I'm sorry for going on. But
go for it, man. Go for it.
When I was in Iraq, we were telling people, we were dropping leaflets telling people, you are not the targets. We were only going after the regime. Stay in your homes and you'll be safe. And when the regime fell and we took over Baghdad and we met with some of the local people, during our missions, I can't go into detail, it'll take too long. But the bottom line is we talked to people and they said that they got those leaflets, that they knew because we were the Americans that we really weren't going to be attacking civilians because, all the propaganda the regime was putting out about what we were going to do to them. And so they knew that they could trust us. They knew that we wouldn't attack civilians. They knew that if they stayed in their homes, they'd be safe and we'd only go after the regime. And they stayed home and they were safe. So this is what I'm saying. Even the Iraqi population believed in that we were the good guys. And now what the president's doing is he's telling the rest of the world, you know what? We're not the good guys anymore. We don't play by rules anymore. We're just going to do what we want. And that's a terrible way to do business. I'll stop with that.
Full diesel in a professional manner. If you guys have heard Ken go full diesel, that right there is RSquared military background coming at us full diesel in a professional, straightforward.
I'm disgusted by it.
I can see it in your faces, and I'm watching you on your chat, and I can see that, and that's why we are listening. We have this like this. So, Ken, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I can't because unlike Robert, I didn't spend 24 years in uniform. And what you may or may not realize that one of Robert's many responsibilities over his careers was to give lectures on military law and discipline and how you were to treat civilians and other people. I don't know if Rob will call himself an expert, but I will. That this is the guy, when you talk about the guy who, going by the book, Rob helped write the book. So, and he was also both a prosecutor and defense counsel in his varied career. And if I'm going to add just one thing,
I've never
served in the military, but I have a lot of friends who have served in the military. In fact, one of them, my ex-roommate, Lieutenant Colonel Dix from the United States Air Force.
Great guy. Love to get that guy back on the show.
And one of the things I hear from all of them over the years is about good order and discipline. because that's how armies function. Without good order and discipline, you don't have a military, you have a mob with rifles. And that's bad on so many levels. And that's why the military holds itself up to a higher standard than in civilian life. And while certain things may be overlooked in the civilian life, the military can't, because it interferes with good order and discipline. The amount of times over the past 30 to 40 years I've heard that from professional military officers, non-coms, enlisted personnel, that, it is a big deal to the military because it interferes with good order and discipline, and you take that away, and you take away the entire effectiveness of the fighting force. I think that's what people don't understand. And one other thing, I do apologize, because RSquared and I spoke at great length about this, especially about the fact that you have a chain of command in the military, regardless of what it is. Things have a procedure. You go from point A to point B to point C, and you work your way up the chain of command. There is a court-martial, then there's an appeal process, and then you can get to the highest court. And Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces?
Yes.
So they get that? Okay. That's the military's Supreme Court. And then after you lose there, you can go to the President of the United States as Commander-in-Chief. But there's a reason you do that, because you respect the chain of command. You exhaust your administrative remedies. And what Trump did was he played politics. And this makes it very difficult for current active duty officers to enforce discipline if their soldiers think, oh, I'll just appeal to the president and I'll get off like this Navy chief did. That's a dangerous precedent.
Yeah. Well said.
Man, good stuff. Well said. All right, we got a couple of things we just want to touch base on before we head out of here. We know it's Thanksgiving week. So we also wanted to talk about real quick, Pompeo may have orchestrated the private meeting that was canceled between Trump and Zelensky that was being talked about during these impeachment hearings, but it never happened. But the problem here is that this would have been that time that they would have been able to lock down that promise to do the Biden investigations. Real quick, RSquared, I'm going to let you get on that one. Then I got the next ones for Ken.
Yeah, that's what we learned recently, and we know that Pompeo, by hiding the way he is, has been much more involved in this thing than we originally thought, and that's why he's hiding to the extent that he is. It's just pure cowardice. But the thing is, he had arranged this meeting in September. It was going to be in Warsaw when President Trump was going to be there for a celebration in Poland that he wound up canceling. There was stuff going on at home, if you remember, and he canceled his foreign trip. But during that, there was going to be a secret meeting where Zelensky was going to come in from Ukraine, and nobody would have known about it. This would have been just as secretive as the Helsinki meeting, although at least we knew that happened. But we would not have known that this happened, and they would have worked out all the arrangements of this deal from the original phone call. And if that meeting had occurred, we may never have learned about what happened. So it's interesting. So that doesn't absolve Pompeo. The fact is that the president canceled the trip and didn't wind up going. The fact is, this Ukraine thing is the facts are uncontroverted. You've heard from 17 witnesses, none of whom are crazy-mouthed Democrats. They're all Republican appointees by President Trump and lifelong, nonpartisan public servants, and every one of them has said the same thing. The facts are uncontroverted by 17 people. There is absolutely no doubt about what happened. So let's face it, folks, it's all about whether we want to be serious about it or whether we just want to play politics. That's all. That's all that's left.
Anything to add to that, Ken?
Nope. What RSquared said in triplicate.
All right. We got two more things to just add here, and then we're going to head out of the show and mention what's going on. President Trump made an unannounced hospital visit for his health. At this time, I don't think we still know what he visited the hospital for. It actually wasn't a routine visit. He actually ended up going to the hospital very tight-lipped, again, on this situation. I know, did you guys hear about this?
Oh, yeah.
There hasn't been any
heard. Yeah.
No updates, though. There has been no updates on why he went or anything, correct? Or am I missing anything?
No, and they're probably never going to find. They keep that stuff under.
Well, because his health is under scrutiny as it is right now. So that, to me, brings a red flag up. I don't know about you guys, but it does bring a red flag up to me in some way.
Oh, it totally does. But, you're never going to find out about it because it's just not what people do.
Right. RSquared, you want to add to that real quick?
Yeah, here's the thing, right? His physical is due in February, so there's no way he was starting it in October or November, okay? That's just way too early. So the thing is, and, I heard I forgot his name. I think it was Dr. Campbell, who's on television quite a bit talking about health issues. And basically, the president, I mean, in other words, this visit to the hospital is not really as surprising or shocking as people may want it out to believe. The president is under treatment and has been for his obesity. He's under treatment for cardiac disease. As a result of his obesity and his terrible diet, the fast food king. And so there are a lot of reasons he could go. Now, one thing is it's a little bit early to start the physical, but when you know that you are being treated for things and that they're going to be part of your physical, you have to go in for certain cardiac tests and things like that. I think it's a little bit too early for those tests, because obviously he can get them done a lot closer to February when they'd be more accurate for the physical. But that's what they were trying to suggest that it was. I think that's a little bit too early. But the fact is, he's got a number of health issues. We all know it, and he knows it, that you can't hide it no matter what Ronnie Jackson tried to say in that ridiculous press conference where I think he was drunk. No, did you see it? I mean, I'm sorry.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch the video. I mean, you'll tell me something was off. But anyway, so it's not unusual for the president to have to make a visit, because there's a lot they can do in the White House clinic, but not everything. And I guess I'm just not surprised that he might, with the additional stress he must be under these days on top of his regular health issues, I don't find it surprising that he may have needed something that needed to be done in the hospital. That's all.
Yeah, they'll keep it quiet. And before we close out the show and get into our reminders and say our goodbyes, the last thing is we're all done with our impeachment hearing inquiries. Everybody took took their time up there, and there's so much spin being put on these impeachment hearings. Trump is saying it's a farce. You've got some Republicans saying it's a farce. We've actually had some Democrats who are now flipping and saying they don't want to see an impeachment. My opinion on this, and I'm just going to go around the horn real quick. I don't think we're going to see anything happen. I'm back to believing that if something did happen, democracy will be protected. I think we won't hear anything from years from now. I don't think anything's ever going to happen. As I said, I think the situation behind the scenes is a lot worse than Americans think, and they need to protect democracy as we know it. And I don't think we're ever going to hear anything. Ken?
What's going to happen is the House Judiciary Committee will hold impeachment hearings. They will vote on articles of impeachment, but the Senate will never take it up before the election. Mitch McConnell can't say he doesn't want he can always say, yeah, we'll have the hearings, but he doesn't have to schedule them until he wants to. So
yeah, because they're getting ready to go on their holiday break anyway. Right. So we're looking at 2 months anyway that they're not going to be around.
Right.
So
they'll probably vote out the articles, but there will never be a trial because it's just the Republicans are going to protect Trump at all costs.
Which is sad. But RSquared, your thoughts on the impeachment overall?
Ken's exactly right. The House Judiciary Committee is going to pass on articles of impeachment by December, which could be sent over, but because of the holidays, it'll be January at the earliest before they could, the Senate could even touch it. And there are two possibilities that would happen in the Senate. One is that they just do nothing with it because they say, too bad, we're not interested, and that's exactly what Mitch McConnell would do. He's done it on so many other things. The other thing that they could do, and this is what they've also threatened to do, is kind of the Lindsey Graham approach, which is we'll give you a full trial. We'll include this, and we'll add 25 other things that are pure politically, partisan political nonsense, and we'll bring in so many witnesses that that it'll just be a show. It'll just be a circus and a joke, and they'll just distract everybody as they've been doing, except since the Republicans will be in charge, it'll just be one continuous distraction and deflection. Anybody who was watching knows that the evidence was overwhelming and uncontroverted, that he absolutely did this. The problem is the American public isn't watching. The American public is interested in other issues. They're more interested in the upcoming election. They're just not interested in this. And so the Democrats are being somewhat realistic that, the end result is obvious. Maybe we should just try to build up a better, just improve. They've passed a lot of bills, but maybe it's better to just get back to work and forget about this. I understand the argument.
Well, the ratings were through the roof for these hearings. Everybody was surprised at what they would. I think like the first day was like 12 million viewers, and then it climbed for the second one. So the numbers were there. The question is, will it translate?
Not really. The people who watched it were the people who already knew about it. And if you look at, the majority of the country didn't watch. The majority of the country didn't pay attention. They don't care about it. This is a shame. I'm not taking up for this. I think it's awful that people don't at least care. I understand people can't stay home and watch it for 2 weeks, but people didn't. They went out of their way not to pay attention, it seems. And so, the American public isn't behind it. It's 50% at best, and it depends on what poll you read. And polls are problematic in the first place, but to show whether there's a trend, which way it's going, the fact is there's been no movement in favor of it. So,
Yeah, it's like 3 days of wasted time. Like
the bottom line is they got to focus on 2020. So what's going to be the best argument, not just for the White House, but to win the Senate and the House? So if Democrats are smart, they'll be figuring out about the 2020 election and trying to win control of Congress and the White House and, send this up to the Senate, but nothing's going to come of it. And I don't even think they want it to based on what the Republicans are going to do up there.
And the Democratic convention this past weekend was a dumpster fire. I had been talking on the show about Tom Steyer, and he gets up there and he makes an off-color he makes an off-color comment that I felt was not right. He was talking about, low-class, middle-class communities, and then he uses the term black and brown communities, and I was kind of like, wait a minute, that's not how you describe it. Just say low and middle income. You don't have to put a race or color to those communities. There are white people. There's a whole different. There's all different races of people who live in those communities. You don't have to put a color to it, and it kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. But other than that, that's about it.
I don't think Steyer should be on the debate stage, so that's my opinion of him.
That's not a debate. That's
Will Ferrell.
I know it's not a debate stage, Ken. I'm just talking about he doesn't belong up there.
I agree, he doesn't belong. But would everyone stop calling these things debates? They're not debates.
They're press conferences.
Yeah, exactly. Will Ferrell did a good job on them this weekend. It was nice to see all these SNL people come back and play all these people. It was great stuff. If you haven't seen it, people, SNL actually did the Democratic debates. They've got Liz, what's her name there? I forget her name, the one that Katie or Kathy, the blonde chick who does all these political people. She does Liz Warren, and it's a riot. It's just a riot. Kate McKinnon. When she does Liz Warren, it was just so funny. So if you haven't seen it, go on and search it. But guys, we got to get out of here. I know RSquared's going to get real early and get up to this Thanksgiving travel.
This has been a great show. I'm enjoying it.
Yep. So, and I don't want him I want him not miss his flight. I don't want to be the guy that makes him miss his flight. He's going to be up early. But we've got a lot of stuff coming up this weekend. This weekend is the 33rd annual Brockton Holiday Parade, which we are going to be in that parade this week. Deana Marie is also going to be in the parade performing. December 11th is the community holiday hope dinner at the Shaw Center, where they're going to bring Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus in, give toys to kids who need it. It's going to be a great event for that one. We will be at that event. The booth will be there also. I'm going to see if I can try to get Ken to come down on that date. That's December 11th, Ken, if you can make it. It's 4 to 9 if you can make that down there. And then other than that, we want to make sure everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving, have safe travels, and stuff with RSquared first.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for listening. And, obviously we're getting into that fun time of year. Hopefully it's fun. Take time off of all the stressful stuff and just enjoy your families.
Yeah. Ken?
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Be safe on the roads. Drive with 2 eyes open and 2 hands on the wheel.
Don't forget, guys, don't forget, guys, we're actually starting our countdown to the last show for 2020. We take our holiday break. These guys have their holiday that they celebrate. They've got their celebrate coming up. When do you guys officially light the first candle, Hanukkah? When is that start for you guys? It's late this year?
23, maybe?
It's 23rd, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's birthday.
It's never the same every year. It's always different.
No, it's the same. No. It's the same every year. Jews operate what we call a lunar calendar. You other people operate on what we call a solar calendar. Hanukkah is on the same date every year.
The biblical calendar is lunar.
Right. You just gotta fix your calendar.
Yeah, so we've only got a few shows left before we close the year out, and like I said, our last show of the year will be a 2-hour show. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I got to thank everybody in the chat. I got to thank our special guest Deana Martin for coming on the show. Always a good time. She always surprises us and drops some type of celebrity name. And Joe Piscopo came out the way back. I didn't get to ask you, Ken, your thoughts on that because we used to talk about Joe Piscopo a ton of times when we were early.
No, he's got a good voice, and he used to do the Frank Sinatra on Saturday Night Live. He used to sing Frank Sinatra. And apparently when Sinatra was alive, he really liked it.
Yep.
He's the vice chairman of the board.
Good stuff, everybody. We got to get out of here. Safe travels, please. Usually it's SpongeBob, take us home. But first, Shirley, Caesar, do me a favor. Take us home.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rat. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, turkeys. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rat. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, potatoes, greens, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkey, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkey. Yellow Shirley. You name it. You name it.
Hey, tell me what you need. I need my plate, fill up with mac and cheese. Granny, you know I need them collard greens. Yes. Don't forget about that good dressing. When you dress it, sauce it up with cranberry. Yeah, I know I'm on my fifth plate. In college, granny, we ain't eat great. All I had was little cheap dates. I know you gonna set your baby straight. Mr. Collars with the turkey, got the cornbread everywhere. That's on purpose, sweet potato pie, yeah, I need it now. I don't care if I gain a couple pounds. Cup of tea ain't that good sativa, now I'm back at it. Thank you, granny. Yes, I'm glad to see my whole family. But I smiled the most when you told me you had
beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rat. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys. You name it. You name it. You name it. She got it. Yeah. It's your boy DJ Sway, the remix god. Hey. Lit. Turn up. Hey. Turn up. Yeah, we gonna take him to church with this one. Mama Shirley, we got one.
Swing the remix god.
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for tuning into the booth at Whoobazoo.com. Please make sure to tune in for more booth next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. Become a fan on their Facebook page and check out their podcast on iTunes and iHeartRadio. The Booth is a Sinista One production hosted by Sinista One, Ken Diesel, and RSquared.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Whoobazoo.com. I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken.